Hi everyone, this is CricketSong with Lunar Wisdom, and this is going to be a tarot spreads video. And the spread today is called The Consequences. You can find this spread in this book, Illustrated Tarot Spreads by Filner and Schreiner. And this particular spread, called The Consequences, can be found here on page 46. And the consequences, it says, I feel that I'm being treated unjustly by my partner. And this is what we're looking at in this spread. So the first card here is the problem. Card number 2 is why I feel that I'm being treated unjustly. Card number 3 is what is the deeper cause for this. Card number 4, is it possible that my partner is right? Card number 5, how can I or shall I change my attitude? And the last card is how this change will influence our partnership. So this doesn't necessarily have to be a spread for a romance. It could actually be a partnership. So if you're in business with someone or you're doing a project with someone, with a partner, this could be used in regards to that. It's just talking about being treated unjustly, so it doesn't only have to be romantic, okay? So let's flip over these cards and see what these cards reveal, and then we'll read it. The problem. Why I feel I'm being treated unjustly. What is the deeper cause for this? Is it possible that my partner is right? How can I or shall I change my attitude? How this will influence our partnership. Okay, so we're looking at this with the Rider-Waite deck, and then we'll compare it with the Green Witch Tarot. But right now, this is what I'm seeing, and this is how I'm going to interpret this. So the first thing that I notice is that there are 3 cards upright and 3 cards reversed. Now, generally, I don't have set meanings for reversed cards. I look at the images and I interpret it when I'm looking at an overall, how the reversed card relates to the other cards around it. So that's what I do. And so then I see half of them are upright, half of them are reversed. I see that there is 1 court card, 1 major arcana card, and 2 wands. There is no pentacles shown here at all. So I would, in that instance, take note that there are no pentacles. But there are chalices, swords, and wands. So the lack of pentacles, first of all, would give me an indication that maybe this partnership isn't very rooted or stable. It's not very structured on a very strong foundation. And the only major arcana card we see here is the Emperor, which I generally read as a very masculine energy, and it is a very unmovable, so it is the stability in this partnership. And but the issue is that the Emperor is in the problem. That is the problem. The first card represents the problem, and that is the Emperor. So I almost feel like the fact that we see no pentacles tells me that there's no stability in this partnership, and the problem is the Emperor, meaning that the fact that there is no stability, the Emperor sort of contradicts that, but then tells me that there is an issue with the lack of stability, and it seems like it's very fixed in that there is no stability. You know what I mean? So the problem I would say here is that there is a very strong dominant energy in regards to this partnership, but there's no stability in that. That the fact that there is no stability seems like both parties in this partnership are maybe afraid of stability, or they shy away from stability, or they are not committed to the partnership. Maybe they are easily distracted by other things. And it feels like, because we see the Emperor, there is no ability to make the relationship committed or stable. Do you know what I'm saying? That's how I would read that. So the second card is the Queen of Cups, and this says, why I feel that I'm being treated unjustly. And how I would look at this is, this tells me that the person I'm doing the reading for, whether it's me or whether it's someone else, I feel like this card represents them. And the reason why they feel like they're being treated unjustly is because they're a highly sensitive, receptive individual. They are motivated by emotions, they're motivated by intuition, they're very sensitive, and they're very receptive, meaning that they don't, or generally do not make the first move or suggest the first thing. They're more of a follower than a leader, but I don't necessarily feel like that's a negative thing. I just feel like that they want to make the other person in this partnership feel good, because they want to feel good. And I feel like what it almost seems to me is that the other person in the relationship may be the same way, which is why maybe things don't get done, or maybe even the other individual might be more of a knight and not a king or queen, meaning that they are very easily distracted, they don't really know what they want. So I feel like this individual feels like they're being treated unjustly because maybe they are too sensitive and they read into things that aren't really true. Like they look for reasons for things that maybe they're just, they need a little bit of a thick skin, because maybe the other person, maybe there's a miscommunication here. Card number 3 is the Seven of Swords reversed, and this asks, what is the deeper cause for this? So when I see this Seven of Swords, this talks to me about taking without giving, and sometimes taking things that aren't theirs. And when I look at the position, the Seven of Swords is moving away from the Queen of Cups, but looking over their shoulder. So I almost feel like what we have here is the other person in this partnership, the one I'm not reading for, or the other person if I'm reading for myself, is taking from me or taking from them without really giving back. And they may be betraying me or betraying them in some way. Maybe I've told them things, revealed things, been vulnerable to them, and they're just taking that without being vulnerable or sharing with me. They could be breaking promises. If we're talking about a work situation, they may be working with me on a project, but also working with someone else, taking some of their time that should be committed to this project and giving it to someone else. If we're talking about a romance, they may be spending time with someone else, maybe spending energy or emotional energy on someone else. So they're taking without giving. There's not an equal exchange here. And this person is doing so intentionally. They know what they're doing. And they are sort of waiting to be caught or waiting to be called out on it. And either me or the person I'm reading for isn't doing that, because again, they're the Queen of Cups. They just want the other person to be happy. So they may not be establishing clear boundaries. So number 4, card number 4, is it possible that my partner is right? So when I see the 9 of Wands reversed, so what am I looking at? Well, number 1, when I do cards, when I'm doing readings that ask for a yes or no answer or a positive or negative answer. Reversed cards for me represent no's or negatives, and upright cards represent for me positive or yes cards. So is it possible that my partner is right? I would look at the reverse and say, no, your partner is not right. And then I look at the card to say, why is your partner not right? Well, the Nine of Wands here, because this figure is looking at the Queen of Cups and is looking at the Four of Wands, is below the Emperor, and the wands are shooting down towards the Ten of Cups here, I would read this in the way to say that my partner is preparing to change energy or shift a focus. And right now they're engaged with me, but they're looking to go elsewhere. And I feel like they are rooting themselves in something else. Because when I look at the images here, these look like they're going down from the Emperor and from the Queen of Cups, sort of like roots growing down. They're sort of like this preparation of action. They're sort of storing things. They're putting roots in somewhere else. They're grounding themselves elsewhere, not in this specific situation, not in this partnership, especially since I see that they're taking energy and things and going somewhere else with it. So I really feel like it's possible your partner, no, they are not right because they are not spending enough time and energy in this relationship, whatever the nature of this relationship is. So how can I or shall I change my attitude? The Four of Wands, again, reversed. So if I'm asking for, should I change my attitude? Or how can I change my attitude? I would say you don't need to change your attitude. But if you want to, how should you? You're, again, addressing the problem, addressing the person. When I see the Four of Wands, if it was an upright position, I'd say, you know, acknowledging the effort and the time being put into something. Here, I feel like what we're saying here is addressing my partner and saying, you're not putting in time. You're not doing these things. You know, my boundaries are clear. Make sure my boundaries are marked. And then have a conversation with my partner and say, look, this is what I've done. What have you done? I asked you to do this and you haven't. What is it you want from me? You know, what is it? I feel like I'm giving more than you're giving. I feel like you're taking more than you're giving. Sort of have this conversation and really take note in what instances your partner or my partner is not doing for me that I expected them to do. And the outcome card, how this partnership will influence, how this change will influence the partnership is the Ten of Cups upright. And I feel like if I am able to address my partner with these concerns that I have, the Ten of Cups talks about feeling complete, feeling satisfied, feeling as if, you know, my cups are full. You know, feeling there's fulfillment and there is joy and there is celebration. So I feel like we could really shift this partnership if I can come to the table with these concerns and we can have a conversation. I feel like both partners, both individuals in this relationship are of a similar energy. So one is waiting for the other to make some sort of change so that then it can be addressed. So let's compare this to the cards with the Green Witch. So the Horned God is the Emperor here. The Queen of Cups is the Queen of Chalices. The Seven of Wands. Whoops, wrong one. Crap. We actually have to look for the swords. Okay, the Nine of Wands. The Four of Wands. The Ten of Cups. And the Seven of Athames. Okay, so let me pull this back a little bit. So what do we see here? So the Queen of Cups, I would read the same way. So the Emperor, we have the Horned God. And I generally read that very similar to the Emperor, although the Horned God, my take would be a little different. He's definitely strong masculine energy. He's divine masculine energy. He's very much rooted in the earth and in the physical realm. So I might read it just a little differently by saying that instead of the relationship not being stable, here I might say that the relationship is really based on physicality. So if we're talking about a romance, this would suggest that my partner is a very physical person, not only doing things, but very sexual and really, wants to have a lot of sex. Whereas if, why I feel I'm not being treated justly because I'm more about emotions. I want to be in love, and my partner may be focused more on sex. That's if I was looking at a romance. If I was doing this and using these cards and considering like a project or a work-related thing, I'd say that my partner is more focused on the actual manifesting the project, getting it done, pulling it together in a very physical sense, where I may be more focused on the overall feel of the project or the overall idea and the emotions connected to it, like the bringing together of ideas and creativity kind of thing. So that's where I feel like these two people may not be the same type of people, wherein we're using the Rider-Waite, I got the feeling that the two people were similar. Here I feel like one's coming from sort of earth and one's coming from water. Doesn't mean they can't work together, but they need to find a way to communicate. The Seven of Athames, I would read the same way, although this, I may not necessarily read this card, it's reversed, as stealing things, as this person may be, the partner may be hesitant in approaching the other person. So this place is, what is the deeper cause for this? I feel like it's because the other person, either my partner or the person I'm reading for, is hesitant in approaching me with anything, maybe because I'm overly sensitive. So there's an understanding that there is a miscommunication or a fallout in communication, that there's a problem with this partnership, but they may be hesitant in approaching me with it because I may overreact. Then the next card, I would read the same way, although we see that the figure isn't necessarily looking at the person here, but is looking up at the Horned God position. And here I sort of feel like, the roots maybe aren't being dug in, but I feel like there is a focus on what is in front of us. So I feel like the partner in this position, is it possible my partner is right? I would still read it as no, but I'd say that my partner is more focused on what's right in front of them and may not be looking at what possibly could manifest in the future because they're more focused on what they're doing now. The fifth position, I read the same way. How can I or shall I change my attitude? I'd read that card exactly the same way. And the end result, how will this influence our partnership? I read this card the same way too. Happiness, joy, fulfillment, understanding we can work together, having a good working relationship, or having a good love relationship. Very similar. That's the consequence spread, consequences in the book. If you end up doing this for yourself, please share with me how it works out for you and let me know if you use this. And if you're interested in obtaining a reading from me, you can go to my website at www.lunarwisdom.net and check out the tab for intuitive readings or card readings. And as always, I love you.